bar and grill industry. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Our friend Steve Palazzolo, NFL Insider, NFL Podcast of the Year. His show, Check the Mic, where they were covering, I'm sure, George Pickens from the Steelers to the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. And he joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. All right, Steve P., what do you think about the trade, Pickens to the Cowboys?
Well, I mean, you were just asking me, how bad is the receiving core for Dallas? I said, I mean, CeeDee Lamb's great, but beyond that, it's, bottom three. It's terrible. And this should help. I mean, it's just a matter of keeping George Pickens' head on straight. I mean, it's just the age-old story with Steelers receivers. We were joking on the podcast over the last couple of years. Does Tomlin find these crazy receivers and just kind of like keep them in check for 3 or 4 years and then that's it? Or do they go to Pittsburgh and something gets them going crazy and then they got to leave? Is it Tomlin's fault, or is he reeling them in for 3 or 4 years? I don't know. But look, Pickens I think he's a high-end number 2 type of receiver. I think the Steelers were hoping he would take this leap to number 1 last year. He's very inconsistent week to week. But at his best, contested catches, freak show catches in traffic. He's a pretty good route runner. It's just a week to week consistency thing, making sure he's going to catch the ball and make big plays. And doesn't always win to every level of the field, but as far as a downfield threat and a complement to CeeDee Lamb, on paper it looks really good for the Cowboys. Okay,
so wow, that's I don't know what to do with that. Steve, I mean,
wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that because Dak is, and I got to see what the last 2 big time offensive linemen said about him, and that was cool. And he's obviously got an unbelievable presence in the locker room, and we knew about what a leader he was at Mississippi State when he drove them to win and go to number 1 with no offensive NFL players around him. But is this a first-year coach in Schottenheimer, and the way that Jerry is always driving and doing the circus, and the Dallas media is bat blank crazy. Is that a recipe for a wide receiver who, like you said, is very, very talented, but has some prima donna in him? Is that the structure is Dallas the structure and accountability you're looking for, or is it, the Ravens and the Lions and some of the other franchises, Steve P?
Yeah, I mean, especially, I don't know how much to make of it, but you have Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, now that they're not teammates, kind of going at it online. And it seems like there's a lot going on in Dallas just internally as far as the locker room goes. I also think that's a part of, this move from Dallas. It's 1 year of Pickens. He's in the last year of his contract.
Point.
They give up a 3 and a 5, and they get back a 6. So I'm wondering, are they seeing how it's going to work for a year? It sounds like they want to let this play out, and if it works well, if it's good, then they have CeeDee Lamb for $34 million, and maybe Pickens is going to command his own $27, $28 million. I mean, that's the type of player he is. He's probably not T. Higgins, but a tick below that as a player. So I think they're going to see how that all plays out. But yeah, Schottenheimer is the head coach, and it's just we haven't seen him in that role yet, right? We haven't seen Shotty in that type of role. We've seen his dad, but we haven't seen him in that type of role to keep everybody happy. A.J. Brown's interesting in Philadelphia because we thought that he was upset last year. Oh, he only had 1 catch in this game or that game, but obviously it was fine. I mean, they win the Super Bowl. He wasn't as upset as maybe people made it. And A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, one of the things that makes the Eagles great is in some weeks, Saquon Barkley's carrying the ball. Some weeks they're playing kind of slow and letting the defense win. Other weeks it's like, hey, we need A.J. Brown for 10 catches, 160 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And so they can win different ways every week. Dallas, there should be weeks where CeeDee Lamb has 15 catches and Pickens has 2. Other times, when the coverage rolls to CeeDee Lamb, Pickens has 8 to 10 catch ability as well and big plays. So they have to keep him in check and say, look, we're going to win how we're going to win. You're going to be a big part of it in most weeks, but some weeks you might not. So that's the challenge there because, like I said, on paper, you want as many good playmakers as possible.
Sure.
But when they're liable to, implode or whatever it may be when they're not getting the ball, then yeah, you're just kind of, bringing your own issues upon yourself.
All right. NFL insider Steve Palazzolo, his show Check the Mic on YouTube and all the other platforms. He joins us on the Out of Bounds show, brought to you by Ice Cold Stella Artois tonight when you're throwing some good stuff on the grill. Jackson and I were debating this yesterday, Steve P. I think what you hit on there is, what's he going to be like on the Sundays that he has 2 catches for 21 yards? And who's going to really – because I think so many of these guys at that position, for whatever reason, are divas and drama queens and prima donnas. Some can hold it. Like you said, AJ was not happy, and there was a lot of tension on the sideline with AJ Brown and the Philadelphia Eagles last year, but they were able to get through it. The question is, Steve, in fact, I think Dak is too nice at times. I wish he would be more, Tom Brady, and if he's upset with somebody, offensive lineman, skill player, F-bomb him. I feel like he's got to always say the right things in the media with Dallas. Micah can say whatever he wants. They've had others, Dez and so on. But when you're talking about George Pickens going to the Cowboys from the Steelers, how is he going to be if there's 2 weeks in a row where he catches 2 balls for 20 yards?
I don't know. We don't know. I mean, it's also, he was fighting, he's fighting on the field last year a couple times, sometimes during the play. I mean, it's inconsistent. And this goes back to Georgia, right? I mean, he had an interesting career at Georgia too, where he looked like a future first-round pick and then gets hurt, and it's like, you go back and watch the film, it's like, man, this dude's good. He just knows how to catch the ball. He reminded me of Brandon Lloyd a little bit. Remember Brandon Lloyd's highlight reel, making one-handed catches and contorting his body and everything? Like, Pickens has all of that ability. And he's even flashed the ability to, like, take a slant to the house, and that's not necessarily his game, but to take a slant, get upfield, and, win with speed as well. So he's got all the ability, and I don't know. I don't have a good answer for how he's going to handle adversity. And plus, you got, the spotlight of Dallas and the whole thing. And like I said, I don't know if Tomlin is just so good at holding it together for 3 or 4 years, and then at some point there's just a tipping point, or what it is.
Let's get into that. All right, so Mike Tomlin, the head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's unpack that. Does Tomlin drive them out because eventually he just has no time for the drama and the nonsense? Or what did y'all come up with on your show, Check the Mic? I mean, did someone come up?
Yeah.
Did you or a co-host or a guest say, hey, definitively, here's really what I think it is and why guys leave after 3 or 4 years in Pittsburgh?
I definitely think there's a point where he doesn't want to deal with the drama anymore, or whatever it may be. But like, I don't remember Deontay Johnson being considered a headache, right? We knew that Pickens had some questions, and there were he had Antonio Brown for 8 years or whatever it was, and I think there were people who said, hey, Antonio Brown coming out in 2010 or whatever, he's some questions, but he was great for 8 years. So there's Martavis Bryant, you've got this. I know Schefter was like putting this list out. He missed Emmanuel Sanders, by the way, who was very good after he left Pittsburgh. But most players who left Pittsburgh were not as good after the fact. And Deontay Johnson last year, for those who don't remember, he bounced around like the Ravens, the Texans. He's with the Browns now. He's just bouncing around, and he couldn't even stay in a building for more than 3 weeks. Never got on the field. And the guy was like a 100-catch player for the Steelers. Like, what happened? So I don't have a great answer for that either.
Okay.
Other than I do believe at some point he's done with that. And could you imagine the on-field with Pickens, DK Metcalf, and Aaron Rodgers?
Oh,
Pittsburgh?
my.
And I just don't think they want to deal.
Goodness.
Yeah. And then
that would be awesome.
I know, of course. It would be great. It'd be great drama. And then from a team building perspective, if you're the Steelers and you don't want Pickens, you might let him play out the last year. You let him walk, hope someone else pays him, and you might get a 3rd-round compensatory pick back. And you got one more year out of him. But they said, no, we want the 3 now. We want to have that locked in.
Right.
We don't even want to deal with the last year. So that's kind of telling as well, the fact that they were willing to move on. So, yeah, I think there's a tipping point for Tomlin where he doesn't want to deal with it anymore.
All right, so how amazing as far as content would that be? Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens. Oh, my gosh.
Well, the fun part with Rodgers, too, and this happens with a lot of QBs, you have to be on the same page with quarterbacks. And Rodgers has not done a great job of getting on the same page with new groups of receivers over the last couple of years. He had his old favorites with the Packers. But, again, on paper, Mike Williams, who he had last year, should have been great for him. Loves to catch the back shoulder, physical, and Rodgers likes to throw it up, give guys opportunities, but they were never on the same page. So that would have been interesting, too, because Rodgers has a couple of years now. He couldn't really develop Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson in Green Bay and never really got on the same page with his Jets receivers other than maybe Garrett Wilson and, of course, Devontae Adams when he showed up. So could he even develop the rapport with George Pickens? And we'll see with DK Metcalf. You know, that would have been a story in itself because they're very talented receivers. But if Rodgers doesn't trust you, you're not getting the ball. That's a huge part of playing receiver as well.
Yeah, Steve Palazzolo, his show, Check the Mic. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line, NFL Insider, Podcast of the Year. So where's Aaron Rodgers going to end up?
I mean, it's either Pittsburgh or retirement, I think.
Okay.
I mean, everything the Steelers are doing, unless this move signifies that they're looking to next year, and they might be doing both. The Steelers have been in this QB purgatory land. With this move now, they have 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 5s, and 2 6s, I believe. As far as with the compensatory picks next year, like the Steelers are loaded in draft capital. We know it's supposed to be a much better quarterback class, whether it's Arch Manning or not next year. We know it's going to be a better class. And if it's not next year, it will be in 27 when my guy DJ Lagway's a junior and maybe Arch comes out that year. So there's better quarterbacks down the road here. So I think Pittsburgh's setting themselves up for the future. Honestly, and if that's the case, I don't even know why they would want Rodgers at this point. You lost your other receiver in Pickens. The number 2 receiver spot is not looking great for the Steelers next to DK Metcalf. They have a good roster, but you're trying to compete with the Bengals and the Ravens, who look much better because of their quarterback situation. I don't know. I mean, I think he ends up in Pittsburgh, but, you know, he was also indecisive enough the last time we heard him speak that I wouldn't be surprised if he had just retired as well.
Okay. Then what? Well, then I don't know what Aaron Rodgers does after. He's so polarizing, which is great. If, you know, with new media, I mean, he's going to have options there. I mean, whether you like him or don't like him, Steve Palazzolo, don't you think there's a space for Rodgers to still be seen and heard after he hangs it up?
I don't know how much he wants to. I mean, there's definitely an element where it's like he seems to love the spotlight as far as the drama. Maybe we're projecting that on him, but he also doesn't seem like, I don't know if he's going to show up on Fox doing as a broadcaster.
No,
so I'm not really sure what that looks like post-career for Rodgers.
I see him on a couch in a room doing a show. If he does
selling
anything,
mushrooms with Jake Plummer or whatever.
Yeah,
it is, right?
Yeah.
Psychedelics.
Yeah, no doubt. I do. I think that's
like. By the way, that's not. It's before he sues me or something. I was just, I'm making a joke. I don't know what he's going to be doing after his career.
Okay, but you've got it down to Pittsburgh Steelers or retirement for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I don't know who else in the league even wants him. There's no other
Saints
starting jobs available, I guess. But you got Tyler Shuck there, and he's almost Rodgers' age anyway. So you got to see what you have with him. Derek Carr's not going to go.
That's pretty good.
So yeah, I don't see the Saints. There's no sense in them trying to push it either with the first year of Kellen Moore. So I think you want to think longer term. I think if you're the Saints, and that's my thing with the Steelers. Like, what's the point? Is it just to win 9 games again? To bring Rodgers in, at least they're set up for the future with the draft capital. But I would almost just say let's completely look to the future. But I could see the Steelers. It sounds like the Steelers are ready to have Aaron Rodgers as their starting quarterback if he's ready to sign.
Yeah, but all right, oil and water. I mean, Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron already wants it his way. he's a Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning QB. Tomlin's a Super Bowl winning coach. I mean, how does this work when they get together?
Well, I mean, the one thing I've said I think for Rodgers to make it work would be him being coached, him submitting to a coach, so to speak. And because the reasons it didn't work with the Jets were him bringing in his own players, his own coordinator, and his own offense from like 10 years ago. And that's just not going to work in today's NFL. And I'm not saying Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, has all the answers in Pittsburgh. But I think the only way it works is if Rodgers comes in, gets coached like everyone else, plays within their system, buys into their system, and that's it. If it ends up becoming, they're 2-4 and they're headbutting and everything, it's not going to be great. It's not going to be good at all. So I could see Rodgers, hey, for one more try, maybe doing it their way and see what happens. Because the Steelers, I mean, for whatever you want to say about Tomlin, I know my friends in Pittsburgh are kind of sick of just being pretty good and losing the first round of the playoffs against much better teams. I mean, Tomlin every year has games that they lose that they shouldn't, games that they win that they shouldn't, right? They beat the Ravens, dominated Lamar last year, early in the season. And so they're going to be competitive. The defense should keep them in games. They've got a very talented team. And if Rodgers buys into the whole deal, they have a chance to be similar team, right? 9, maybe 10-win team if they're, if Rodgers plays a little better this year. So I could see Rodgers maybe submitting and being coached for one last hurrah here.
Do you think, Mike Tomlin, is he great, good? Is he overvalued? Where do you put Mike Tomlin with the Steelers?
I think he's a very good coach. The more we've learned, the more we've learned about the impact of the quarterback, the harder it is to put so much on the coach. The Brady Belichick thing, I think, has opened our eyes to so many things where Belichick has not won without Brady. He's off at UNC right now doing who knows what. And it's just a whole different world when you don't have your quarterback. And Mike Tomlin had Ben Roethlisberger, who was, a top 5 to 8 quarterback for the majority of his career.
Sure.
And and now they haven't had a quarterback. And so, yeah, he's got his hand in finding the next guy, but it's not easy. You don't always have the opportunity. I was just talking to a former GM about this the other day, and I'm like, it's so much luck. And he said, yeah, it is. It is so much luck. Like the Bengals had the first overall pick when Joe Burrow was available. The Colts had the first overall pick when Andrew Luck was available. The previous year it was the Panthers, and we thought Luck was going to come out and they got Cam Newton. I think Luck would have been a much better player, ended up a better player than Cam. But, either way, I think it's tough to look at Tomlin and hate on what he's done the last couple of years because he hasn't had stable quarterback play, and that's not all his fault. So I think he's very good, and it's really tough to judge coaches outside of their quarterback. And but as I said to you before, when you do find a John Harbaugh or Kyle Shanahan or guys that have won with multiple quarterbacks, you say, okay, Andy Reid, you say, okay, these guys are doing something with multiple quarterbacks.
Right.
And then you give Andy Reid Mahomes or you give John Harbaugh Lamar, and then you see them look much better and far more consistent. So I think it's really tough to separate the coach from the quarterback.
Okay, fair enough. I don't think we were having you on the show. It's still wild that Andrew Luck retired when he did with 8 years left to play. It is,
And I thought, he kind of carried that team early on, but was kind of all over the place as far as some of his decision making. He hit this little lull in year 4, I think it was. He was kind of banged up, and I thought his 2016 and 2018 seasons, 18, those were his last 2 years, I believe. Those the last 2 years that he played. He missed all of 2017, I believe it was. His last 2 years, I thought he was starting to play his best football, and it was year 6 or 7 for him, and starting to get into the groove of things and becoming one of the better, more consistent quarterbacks in the NFL, and then he was just gone. So we didn't get to, see it play out. But, I thought, I'm sure people think he was overrated because he was supposed to be the next Peyton, right? This happens every 5 to 10 years.
Right.
I thought he had a fantastic career and was ready to even take that next step, and we never really got to see it play out.
Now he's the general manager at Stanford or something.
Right.
Good grief. All right, buddy. What's on the schedule for the weekend with the kids?
Oh man, my wife is like reading the schedule. She's like, T-ball. We have T-ball and baseball at the same time tonight. We've got baseball this weekend. My mother-in-law's coming in for Mother's Day.
Oh,
so I'm trying to like schedule, stuff at the house. Like, I got the contractor coming by. So I have to stay home. Trying to schedule some stuff.
right.
We got birthday parties. We have kids' birthday parties. I'm trying to avoid those. That's what I'm trying to avoid.
God, you are in the thick of it. T-ball, baseball, and kids' birthday parties.
All
they do is like
blow of the weekend where I'm going and everything. I'll keep you updated.
Wow. And you're going and they eat all these sweets and, oh my God, they got
terrible
stuff all over their face and their shirt. It's funny as hell.
Good times. Yeah. I'm just trying to avoid the kids' birthday party this weekend. Baseball, and then I want to come home and relax on Saturday. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. All right. You got to pick up golf. Be good, man. See you, dude.
All right. Take it easy.
Steve Palazzolo, his NFL show. Check the mic. Find it on any platform, of course, YouTube. And they're dialed in to the NFL. How about that? Aaron Rodgers either to the Pittsburgh Steelers or retires. Can you imagine a roster of Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens and the drama and prima donna level? But instead, the Steelers ship George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys, and we'll see how that goes. Is that franchise buttoned up enough to handle George Pickens when he only catches 2 balls for 21 yards, but they win? Back in a few.